This show is probably one of the biggest mind-expanding things I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Primal, make sure you go and watch it because 1, it is the most beautiful world building and storytelling, and 2, it takes on intense and horrifying graphic scenes in a way I've never seen before. And 3, it's technically a freaking silent film. And no, I'm not talking like Disney's Spirit. I actually genuinely nearly threw up. The biggest qualifier of what takes a show from a good one to a great one is its true meaning. In this review, I answer the question, what the heck is Genndy Tartakovsky trying to say with this show? So, let's get right into it. On the one hand, it's pretty obvious. We have 2 main characters, Spear and Fang. A somewhat Neanderthal man and a dinosaur, both having been stripped of their families and proceedingly fighting together as one. Yet in this primitive-seeming environment, even Spear is nearly driven to suicide at the death of his own family. So why do both of them continue to toil in living, even after losing so much? It's clear that Spear recognizes that if he dies, so will his memories of his family, and for now, that's what causes him to continue to fight. This resolve that has enveloped Spear seems to also be instilled in Fang, as they are a near inseparable duo thereafter. Yet both have a soft spot when it comes to finding a partner and when it comes to children, making their lives not entirely primal, per se. They also have very real qualities that make them much more. Neither truly wishes to kill, but it's the world they live in. And don't get me started on theories as to whether this is an alternate world, a take on Pellucidar, a post-apocalyptic one, or just a take from history. Regardless, Spear and Fang's development is seen time and time again as they prioritize the protection of a potential mate, and their protection of children, and even regret in their accidental death. But then in Season 2, Episode 5, we see an episode completely different from any others like it. The current time period is made known, people are speaking English, and some characters seem familiar. The most familiar man being Charles, who's projecting his theory to the other men that every human could devolve back into their primal form if exposed to enough violence, pain, or suffering.
We have evolved beyond creation's expectations.
Most of the men scoff at his theories, but one man, a Lord Darlington, blatantly contests it. After the men are informed that a dangerous man has escaped from a nearby asylum, Charles's theory is put quite literally to the test, as the group of men are confronted by this madman that seemingly resembles Spear. And after a long-winded battle, and, well, all but Charles and Darlington being murdered by the madman, it is Darlington that delivers the final blow. When he does so in an almost identical way to Spear. Spear's own life and upbringing can be seen in the final stages of the show as his own family, who appear to be more Neanderthal than human, are attacked by saber-toothed tigers, and Spear's father is killed. Spear and Darlington, and one other character, if you can guess who, are mirror images of each other at different stages of life, with the catalyst of their continued changes in nature being primal theory? Yes, but not quite. It is clear that Tartakovsky wants the viewer to understand that Charles is a representation of Charles Darwin, and that Darlington is a representation of Cyril Dean Darlington. Of course, this episode is meant to prove Darwin's theory, but why? Because the timeline doesn't add up, with Darwin dying in 1882 and Darlington not being born until 1903. C.D. Darlington himself had a rough childhood and was quite indifferent to the world until discovering boxing. Some of you may see where I'm going with this. This show does an incredible job at showing progression, how situations can cause adaptations and force creatures to evolve, how even a man who cannot speak can overcome nearly every obstacle, except one, feeling acceptance. This all connects to primal therapy, a common psychotherapy developed by Arthur Janov. To briefly explain, this primal theory or form of psychotherapy basically states that no one is able to overcome their hurt, trauma, or pain unless they re-experience these moments by conceptualizing them over and over again. And this pain, hurt, or trauma is one that hasn't been overcome dually because it has been repressed and because of an inability to face the pain only increases it. This is applicable to Spear, Fang, Mira, Darlington, and really most characters. And the only way that Spear is able to overcome his own past is to face his mistakes, and quite literally face his demons. And defeating this also mirrored image of himself, And yes, this is the person that I've said mirrors both Spear and Darlington, except he has repressed his anger and feelings to the point that he only seeks revenge. But in Spear's defense of Fang, he is finally able to find true peace. Now, whether or not I agree with Tartakovsky's conjecture that man is able to somehow self-heal himself through continually over and over again reliving the pain of his childhood, I mean, it's kind of Freudian, is still up in the air. But I do think it's an incredible way to round out a story of a man whose character I had assumed would be trivial and boring. For how I rate this show, originally I was upset with the ending and would have put it at a low A tier. I mean, the main character is mortally wounded, and in his dying moments, he finally gets to have sex with the girl he likes. Like, cool, okay. But on further inspection, I really do think this is just Mira's way of showing Spear that his life is more than that of just a guardian that stands off from those around him. He's family. No, I swear, if you put any Vin Diesel crap, any...
Family just got bigger. There's always room for family. You don't turn your back on family.
Anyways, because of how much this show truly caused me to think, I believe it belongs in the S tier. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Please be sure to tell me your theories on the show and what you think. Will there be a season 3 of Primal? Also, I'd like to shout out my sister's boyfriend for giving me this recommendation on this show. Great show. Also, if you're not subscribed, make sure you go ahead and do that so you don't miss out on the next review. That being said, I'm Sam and this has been Skilled Reviews. See you in the next one.